Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you to this particular show where we are going to be highlighting youth projects taking place in the 47 counties, looking at the government, looking also at even youth projects that have been initiated by even the non-profit sector. But today, we will be focusing on the State Department for Northern Corridor. All right? So the thing is this. You find that this particular State Department for Regional and Northern Corridor Development encompasses a lot of development projects, more so with regard even to the agricultural sector. But now you wonder, why is there no progress with regard to projects that have been initiated in the State Department for Regional and Northern Corridor Development? Why are other state departments performing extremely well, but this particular state department is performing dismally? So we are going to look at a report that highlights the findings of the General Economic and Commercial Affairs Sector Report 2021. You know very well that the national government, through the Treasury, they usually give reports so that you can assess how government performs. And so I decided to conduct an analysis of planned and actual targets for this particular state department, as highlighted in the General Economic and Commercial Affairs Sector Report 2021, specifically looking at regional and northern corridor development. So I'd like to share my screen so that at least now you can be able to understand where I'm coming from and understand the ongoings of this particular state department. All right, so let's get right into it. So here is the document that I'd like to share. And as you can see, on page 26 of this report, if you'd like to look at this particular report, kindly go to the National Treasury website and you'll be able to look at the reports that have been highlighted by the National Treasury with regard to work done. So if you look at the integrated basin-based development, okay, you can see that with regard to mango value chain, the planned targets were 300,000 for the financial year 2018-2019, 400,000 for 2019-2020, and for 50,000 for 2020-21. But the actual was 300,000 for 2018-2019, and 2019-2020 was 350,000, and 2020-2021 was 130,000. And the government is saying that the effects of COVID-19 budget cuts and delay in release of funds led them not to achieve the targets. Now, when we come to now the Tot Mango Factory. Specifically looking at the mango pulp processed in liters. In the financial year 2018-2019, nothing was done. That is why it's written NA. For the 2019-2020, they had planned to process 100,000. And in the 2020-2021, they had planned to process 100,000. But when you look at the financial year 2018-2019, 2019-2020, and 2020-2021, you can see nothing was done in the 2018-2019. It was zero in the 2019-2020, and then 14,420 in the financial year 2020-2021. And the government is attributing this to the delay in the release of funds, budget cuts, insecurity, and mango off-season. Now, when it comes to the Napu irrigation project, and you know, the government of Kenya states that Kenya is like the priority that they should focus on is agriculture, because most of the people are doing agriculture, or the land is agricultural land. But the thing is, you find that the government is not investing funds in this particular sector. That is why you find that even at this particular point in time, you find that we are importing food from abroad. You find that the government has set aside funds to develop agriculture in Kenya. But when it comes to actually releasing funds to do that, there's no progress. Okay? And that is why it is high time for the government to act on its word. If it's saying that it's going to focus on agriculture, let them focus on agriculture and release funds for it. Because you can see like the Napu irrigation project, number of hectares put under irrigation, they said 50 in the financial year 2018-2019, and you can see that it was achieved in the 2018-2019 financial year with regards to actual. When it comes to planned in the financial year 2019-2020, they had targeted 100, but actual was they were only managed to achieve 35 hectares that were put under irrigation in the Napu irrigation project. With regard to 2020-2021, they had planned 150 hectares to be put under irrigation in that particular project, but only 35 was done. And the government is saying this is attributed to the delay in the release of funds and budget cuts. Surely, if the government continues delaying release of funds for agriculture, when are we going to release? When are we going to get actual development? If they continue cutting budget for agriculture, where do they expect people to even get the food that they need to eat? Because you can see this is State Department for Regional and Northern Corridor Development. And you know very well that the areas in Kenya that are even experiencing drought situation are even in the northeastern counties as well, and even in eastern counties, because there are areas which are arid and semi-arid. But you find that the government is continuing cutting budget for agriculture. Now let's look at the Lomut irrigation project. With regards to percentage of completion, you find that they had planned that in 2018-2019, they were targeting 60. Yeah? But in 2018-2019, the achieved target was 36. When you look at the financial year 2019-2020, they had targeted to reach 70, but they managed 40. 2020-21, they had managed to, they had targeted to reach 80, but they only achieved 40. And they are saying that the reason behind them not completing this is delay in the release of funds and budget cuts. All right. Let's continue and look at the other sectors as well. When we also look at Lichota Muhoroni Alupe solar irrigation project, you find that they had planned to reach 10, but they managed 9.9. They had planned to reach 100 in the financial year 2019-2020, but they managed to reach 81. And in the 2020-2021, 50, but they managed 40. And they said that they were not able to achieve the target because of underachievement due to budget cuts and late disbursement of funds. All right. Now, when we take a look at tannery and leather factory, you can see that even with regard to the completion of the financial year 2018-2019, they had planned to achieve 80, but they only managed in 2018-2019 not to reach the target and achieved 70. They had planned the financial year 2019-2020 to reach 90, but they only managed 88. And in the financial year 2020-21, they had planned to reach 95, but they only managed to achieve 90. And they're saying that the reason for the variance is because of inadequate funding and budget cuts. All right. And then, when you also look at the commercialized integrated bamboo project, you find that even with regard to the factory completion, you find that they had planned to reach 20 in the financial year 2018-2019, but they managed only 10. 2019-2020, they had planned to reach 25, but they only managed 15. And 2020-21, they had planned to reach 25, but they only managed 18. And they're saying this has not been achieved due to underachievement due to budget cuts. All right. Now, when you go down further, you find that even with regards to the Kenya Climate Change Adaptation Program, hectares of mangrove rehabilitated. They had planned to reach 50 for the financial year 2018, 2019, 2019, 2020, 2020, 2021, but 0 was achieved. And they're saying funds were not disbursed. So in short, what I'm saying is this. For us to achieve development, because you find that for development to be achieved, the government has to act on what it has planned. Because the government can't sit down and plan things and yet cut funds for the things that they had planned for that particular department. Now look and see. All these agriculture developments that are, if the government had funded them, we would even have millions of youth employed. We would even alleviate food insecurity. But you find that this particular department, out of this particular sector, the General Economic and Commercial Affairs sector, which is GECAT sector, is receiving the least amount of funds. And that is why I urge the government, the national government, even to the Treasury, and even President Ruto, if he's watching, and even the minister in charge of agriculture, and even the PS in charge of the State Department for the Northern Corridor develop the State Department for regional and northern corridor development. Let's ensure that this particular department is well funded. Continual budget cuts for this department, and you see that this is where they have even allocated even funds even for irrigation, funds for even solar, funds for millions of not for millions, but for various projects. That is why I ask the government to kindly focus on this, and also development partners, if they are watching, kindly support our government, because sometimes the government have maybe collected this amount of money through tax that they'd like to support the national projects, but at times they also need funding support from development partners, and that is where you come in, because we know that the development partners, if they support the government, will be able to achieve these targets. And Kenya, we cannot achieve without the development partners. And if the development partners come in and support the government and support even this particular sector or this particular department, State Department for Regional and Northern Corridor Development, one thing I know is that the youth all over Kenya will be able to get employment, their livelihoods will improve, and the government will achieve the plans that it had desired, even for youth across Kenya, and also for the development of Kenya as a whole. And that is why I ask the government, kindly do not cut budget funds for State Department for Regional and Northern Corridor Development. I don't know whether no one has spoken about this, but I hope that someone is listening in government so that you can see that there is continual progression with regards to this. So I want to say thank you for watching, and see you next time, even as we analyze another state department and how it is performing. Thank you, and do have an enjoyable day.